I'm Sheri B with PDB Group Venture, and we are here at WPFW 89.3 FM radio in the hustle and bustle of this fabulous radio station. Today, we're talking with Ron Moore. He is the author of Washington Cats. You guys who know about roller derby, this is a book for you. Ron Moore is a native Washingtonian, grew up in Falls Church, Virginia, currently resides in Silver Spring, Maryland. We're happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
I want to talk to you about your freelance writing and your poetry and what you've done on Examiner.com. I know you've been on Fox and Friends, so we're going to do a little bit of talking about all of that so that we can learn a little bit more about you and let people be able to get in contact with you for your fabulous skills. So Ron, I know you write for Examiner.com. Tell me what types of articles you write for them.
Well, I started out writing for them about the labor movement because that's where I come from. So I write the DC Special Interest Examiner, and pretty much right away, you know, it's amazing how you can write and advocate for and be an advocate for something. And within a month, I was on Fox and Friends debating the Employee Free Choice Act. So it was pretty affirming, you know, to be able to step out there and speak out. But I also write about national grassroots politics, which allows me to cover just about anything. And DC poetry, the DC poetry community, because I really believe that if you're a poet and you write with a rhythm, you can move people. You know, you gotta have rhythm for people to move, and if you can write with that rhythm, your writing can move people and have them act and get them out there and to do something instead of just sitting still.
What are some of the current projects that you're working on?
Well, the really interesting thing about being a freelance writer is that you sort of go where your muse takes you. So I've written recently about the Street Glam casting call and had an opportunity to write about modeling and beauty and, you know, my own definition of beauty and what that means, you know, and basically if I see something and I believe in it, I'll write about it, you know, because ultimately people need to know about it. They need to know about the good things in the community. They need to know about people that are good, that are positive. And if I can do anything even for one person to read something and know they can go out and do that same thing, then it's worthwhile and it's a gift, and I've got to use it to do good.
You mentioned Street Glam. You did a little bit of advocacy, I'll say, for some models as well, right? What is that project that you're working on?
I started working on a poetry project called The Invisible Woman, and it was based on the concept that a beautiful woman is invisible because when people look at her, they only see her beauty. They don't take a moment to figure out who she is. They don't really talk to her. They just assume things. And so in a sense, she's invisible. And while you may look at someone like that and think that they've got so many God-given gifts, you know, that life is easy for them. In fact, it's a struggle, you know, it's a struggle. So for that reason, I was able to get to know models over time and to interpret their images in poetry, you know, and develop relationships in that way and give them some support, you know, and you know, and it's a very positive thing. It's been a very positive experience, and recently it's led me to the Street Glam.
Yes, and we appreciate you being there.
Absolutely.
Writing an article about it was wonderful. The Invisible Woman concept, that's really interesting because it's kind of the thing that goes back to high school. You know, there's the cheerleader who doesn't have the date to the prom, you know, and that type of thing. So that's really interesting that you're able to work with models and support them in that way. And that's actually an area where models need help. So what are some other projects that you're working on?
Well, I was a screener for TSA, and I'm writing a book about that experience, about getting fired 3 times by the Department of Homeland Security, and having the privilege of losing everything in that struggle, but standing up for what is right, but also just being a part of that experience right after 9/11, to be that part of that first group at BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport, and being part of this really amazing experience where everybody's learning at the same time, the passengers and the crew and the staff, and to have this workplace where you were stripped virtually of all of your rights, but to try to step up. And so I was the first national union president for TSA, and you know,
so you're going to write about your experiences with that.
So telling that story, and it's still ongoing. We still do not have collective bargaining rights. They still do not have any rights in that workplace. Things are changing under Obama, but they're changing really slowly. And in the meantime, tens of thousands of workers have lost their jobs and have been affected because, you know, it's a snapshot of what workplaces were like 50 years ago because of the way they set the agency up.
So by writing this book about your experience working for TSA, what is your goal? What is the influence that you're trying to have on the community and your market for this particular book?
Well, I think it's an important story because we really used national security as a way to step back. And when I took that first step on the checkpoint and noticed that the African American screeners were really being treated differently, and took a stand about that issue, and immediately received a 2-year reprimand, and really was, they were really angry with me when I was really just saying, this isn't right, these are the things that are happening and it's not right. If we don't tell those stories, if we just move on, and because, well, it's getting better and it was a new agency,
right,
then people don't, for one thing, they don't know about it, and then they're not vigilant about it. They don't realize, sometimes you wake up and the world's changed, and you could have figured that out months ago and maybe done a little something to stop it, but you really didn't notice. And so it's important to tell these stories so that future workers, and members of the community continue to speak out and just notice, notice if there's something isn't right, then do something about it, or at least say something about it.
Right. That's excellent. So you're a writer, you're a poet, you're a community advocate. So tell me, what is your next step? Where are you going from here?
I wish I knew, but what I do is I say that I work my way to nothing. With my struggle, I got nothing, so I write. And that's all I have to work with.
Okay.
And when I write, everything I do is to be an organizer. So if I write, I want to write as an organizer. I want to move people to act. I don't want to write something just to put information out there. I want people to read it and to know, to feel something that they can do, about it.
Okay.
Whether it's an issue or whether it sparks some other completely random thought in their mind that makes them go out and try to change something. If I could talk about Wavy Gravy just a little bit.
Okay.
I had an experience during the Impact Film Festival to see a film called Saint Misbehaving, the Wavy Gravy story. And Wavy Gravy is this guy that walks around with a fish on a leash, dresses up as a clown, has a red nose. He was the MC at Woodstock. But when you hear his story, this man's an organizer. He goes out and brings change to the world. He's started an organization that's brought sight to 1 million people around the world, called the Seva Foundation. And so this man uses this idea that you can go out and organize and really resist things that are bad, but do it in a happy way. Be cheerful about it.
Okay.
Don't act like you're just aggravated about everything. Use your passion and be positive about it, because then people are going to feel that you're more approachable.
Right.
If they think you're just going to fuss at them, they won't even listen to what you've got to say. And so he's just an amazing man. And so I got to know the director, Michelle Esrick, and that's a project that I've been pushing for, because there's a lot to get a film out there in distribution.
So Ron, give me just a little synopsis about you that people would be like, wow, Ron Moore, I need him writing for my newspaper, I need him writing for my magazine. I mean, things that we're going to get DC Magazine to take notice of, as well as some other big magazines in the area, newspapers. What can you kind of summarize and tell us about you?
Well, I write with a passion, and so if I write about something, I don't write just about what I see. I write about what I think the complexity contains, and try to move people by really getting underneath the story and find out really what's happening and talk about positive things. Words can create or they can destroy. It's a powerful gift, and I want to use that gift to organize and to do good things. And I've been blessed with a lot of good things so far, so I want to just keep doing it.
Okay, sounds good. People can get in contact with you, like you said, on Facebook and Twitter, and email you at Ron_E_Moore at Yahoo. And so that's how they'll contact you as well to buy your book?
Yes, I have copies of the book, and I can send them a signed copy. I'd be thrilled to do that.
Fabulous. Wonderful. So I'm Sheri B. with PDB Group Venture, and I've just met with Ron Moore, writer, poet, advocate, community advocate. And if you want more information about him or PDB Group Venture and what we do, you can go to pdbgroupventure.com. We are also on Facebook and Twitter at PDB Group Venture.